Ben, I'll open with the developmental point. Early adolescence is a sensitive window. Social comparison accelerates, sleep is fragile, circadian rhythms shift, and identity work is intense. If high-intensity social media injects 24/7 comparison, intermittent reinforcement, and late-night scrolling during that window, you're engineering risk. A clean rule, no social media until 16, acknowledges that biology and product design collide in ways most families can't reliably manage. Chris, but the data aren't that simple. When you look across big samples, the average relationships between social media use and well-being are tiny. Sometimes they're non-linear or even positive at moderate levels. A categorical ban treats all use as harmful and all teens as identical. Policy should target patterns that actually drive harm, nighttime use, harassment, algorithmic rabbit holes, rather than age alone. Ben, families need enforceable defaults, not just aspirations. Saying, target the bad patterns, assumes parents can see and control those patterns across multiple apps engineered to bypass friction. A bright line, coupled with platform responsibility, creates a default that protects younger teens while their executive function and social resilience mature. At 16, you can phase in, with time caps and safety by default. Chris, a bright line also creates collateral damage. Plenty of 13 to 15-year-olds use social tools to maintain friendships, find communities, and get support they don't have offline. Banning them pushes activity into unsupervised or fake age accounts and cuts off pro-social uses along with the risky ones. Better to redesign environments, curfews, no DMs from strangers, heavy-handed harassment controls, than to lock the door entirely. Ben, the redesign you want is exactly what a higher onboarding age can buy. Platforms can build simpler junior products with strict defaults for under 16s, but as long as the minimum is 13, product teams will optimize for teens whose engagement fuels ad models. Raising the floor lets companies separate growth metrics from the most vulnerable users and gives schools and parents a clear rule to point to. Chris, or it drives kids into gray market spaces with fewer protections. Remember what happened with age gating in other domains. Bans don't end behavior, they change where it happens. If the concern is sleep, set system-level screens off at 10 p.m. If the concern is heavy use, bake in real-time caps. If the concern is bullying, make reporting and sanctions instant and visible. These are addressable without an age cutoff. Ben, those are complements, not substitutes. We've tried parental controls for years. Uptake is low and enforcement is exhausting. Meanwhile, empirical work links higher use with worse sleep and distress, and suggests certain ages are more sensitive. We don't need a perfect RCT to act prudently. Later is safer, is a common-sense design for a technology that shapes attention and self-worth. Chris, prudence should still follow evidence on magnitude. The largest preregistered analyses point to very small average effects. That means we should focus on the tails, kids with pre-existing vulnerabilities, hostile peer environments, or problematic use patterns. A blanket ban is a sledgehammer where a set of well-aimed scalpels could do more good with fewer costs. Ben, tails are exactly why defaults matter. The vulnerable kids are the least likely to benefit from voluntary guardrails. A universal age rule equalizes expectations across schools and households. It also tells product teams, don't build mechanics that rely on 13-year-old engagement. You reduce exposure during the years when late-night scrolling and social comparison hit hardest. Chris, universal rules also ignore heterogeneity. Some 14-year-olds run small businesses online or advocate for causes. Others use moderated communities to cope with isolation. We can preserve those benefits while attacking harms through safety by design, strict recommendation controls, opt-in feeds, transparency for parents and counselors, algorithmic audits, and zero tolerance for harassment. Make the default environment sane rather than pushing kids off platforms entirely. Ben, safety by design plus delayed onboarding is not either/or. Think of it like driving. We set a minimum age and we engineer safer cars and roads. The driving age recognizes developmental readiness. Airbags and speed limits reduce residual risk. For social media, 16 acknowledges readiness. Time caps, curfews, identity verification, and anti-bullying enforcement are the airbags. Chris, the driving analogy also includes supervised learning, graduated licenses. I'd support a supervised, phased entry starting before 16, whitelisted contacts, no public posting, default off at night, time caps, and required digital literacy modules, all verified at the OS level. That teaches navigation with scaffolding rather than forcing an abrupt jump from 0 to full access at a birthday. Ben, a phased path could work if it's genuinely locked down and enforced by the platforms and OS, not just left to parents. But then we're close to the no open social media until 16 inches rule I'm proposing. Below 16, closed garden, no algorithmic feeds, no public posting, strict time windows. At 16, unlock features with proof of literacy and clean usage history. Chris, I can live with that structure if we build in appeals for exceptional cases, youth creators, student journalists, kids who rely on online communities for health or identity support, with verified adult mentorship. And we must pair any restriction with serious offline investments, youth centers, mental health access, sports and arts, otherwise we remove an online lifeline without replacing it. Ben, agreed. Offline substitutes are part of the bargain. So are school-based sleep campaigns and phone-free classrooms. The goal isn't punishment. It's to protect attention, sleep, and development during a narrow window when harm is easiest to trigger and hardest to repair. Chris, then our difference shrinks to implementation. You want a categorical, no open social media until 16, paired with phased features and safety by design. I want phased features and safety by design without a hard legal age ban, to avoid driving use underground and to preserve beneficial connections. Either way, we're both saying, enforceable defaults, measurable outcomes, and serious investments in youth well-being. Ben. And constant measurement, sleep duration, harassment reports, time on platform, mental health visits, so we can adjust. If the phased approach under 16 works without a ban, great. If not, the data will justify a stronger line. Chris, deal. Let's let the results, not the rhetoric, decide where the slider sits. The priority is the same: protect kids' minds and time while preserving the best parts of being connected.